Thank you very much again to be here with us for this second party. I will introduce our guests on the table. Those will intervene on different subjects. Mr. Ghassan Abu Samra from EUPAC. Mr. Adnan Sabbah, British lawyer coming from London, welcome. And Ahmed Sakina from European Initiative to Remove Wall and Settlement, welcome, coming from Netherlands. And Mr. Adnan Damiri, Hamdan Damiri, sorry, from Belgium, you welcome. And our guests from Poland, Piotr Ikonowicz, okay, leader of the New Left Party, and he will treat the topic of how Europe sees the issue of Jerusalem and how it deal with it. Before this, allow me to have another guests coming from Foreign Affairs of Belgium. He is in charge of Middle East and North Africa, Mr. Frederick Sippens. Welcome, bienvenue.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for giving me the floor. I will just say a few words. First, thank you for inviting me. As you said, my name is Frederick. I work for the Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm no politician. I'm a diplomat. And I am lucky enough to follow the bilateral relations between Belgium and Palestine and between Belgium and Israel from here, Brussels. We are neighbors. Our ministry is there. So just a few words to say that Belgium has good relations with Palestine. Our Minister Kittir was there recently. I was there also with colleagues mid-September, and we had political consultations with our counterparts in Ramallah at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And we, in mid-September, we also went to Israel, and our relations are also relatively good. But the problem is all the potential of those good relations get undermined by violations of the law and by the lack of sustainable peace in the region. And that is not good for Palestinians, that is not good for Israeli, and that is not good for Belgians. So Belgium is part of the European Union. I mean, Brussels is at the very heart of the EU, and we strongly advocate for the EU to be very, very involved in finding a solution both with Palestine and Israel. Our position, both from the EU and from Belgium, so far is a two-state solution. You mentioned that is very interesting. That that was the sir there. That physically speaking, infrastructures make it difficult to still envisage a two-state solution, and that is why such debates are interesting to see. Okay, if the Palestinians, the Israeli, they do not want a two-state solution, which is so far the official position. It was reminded recently at the UN General Assembly, both by Prime Minister Lapid and by President Abbas. But I mean, if any other solution would be suitable, of course, Belgium would be, and the EU would be happy to discuss and support dialogue to find the best solution possible. Within our government agreement, the current Vivaldi government that you might have read in the news today for some other reasons, the peace process in the Middle East is central. And another specific measure that is mentioned black on white is differentiation. You touched upon it. We do not it's no question in government agreements about sanctions. It's a question about differentiating, because it is a legal and political obligation between the products that come from a legal position or a position that is illegally occupied. So the Belgian government and different ministries, from the finance, the customs, they are working critically on it. And of course, we try to do that with our EU friends. We also expressed deep concerns about the 6 NGOs that were labeled as terrorists. You mentioned them earlier on, along with 8 other member states in the EU, because, of course, terrorism is a serious concern and we have to fight it. But we analyzed, together with our Israeli friends, the content of the case, and we could not find any evidence about it. So, so far we keep working with the Palestinian civil society, and we expressed deep concerns about the risk of fragilizing or making weaker the right to freedom of expression, assembly, and the important role that civil society can play. There was recently a meeting of the Association Council between the EU and Israel on the 3rd of October. Belgium is in favor of having also a high-level political dialogue between the EU and Palestine. Of course, and that was said also, for being the more successful, for having the more chances for achieving progress, and my Swedish colleague said it, it's very important also to have a democratic renewal in Palestine and within the Palestinian Authority. So that is why Belgium is also strongly in favor of organizing elections in Palestine. To conclude, and for being short as I promised to be, just say again thank you to EUPAC, because such meetings where we can address different subjects raise awareness, including for me, about things we might not be aware of, in a very open dialogue that is very important, I think, to identify solutions together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Frederick. Now I'm giving the floor to Piotr. He will address the question of Jerusalem and how Europe deal with the subject. Thank you.
We are all terrorists, and we are in good company. To the end of the 90s, Nelson Mandela was on the American US terrorist list. We are terrorists, and we are at war. We are terrorists because we attack and undermine a new world order, which is the order serving to the stronger. And this is the only law which is really abiding. That's why I'm fed up with resolutions. I'm fed up with lawyers, being myself graduated in law. And I'm fed up with complaining. As a lawyer, I know that whoever commits a crime may be taken to the courts and punished. That is how it works for individuals, but not for the states. It happens that the state might be punished, like happened with Russia, which is sanctioned. But it can't happen to Israel while it's protected by the US. I don't like even the very word illegal, because better word would be criminal. These are war crimes, these are crimes against humanity, which have to be punished, and we have to stop complaining and start fighting. And when I'm talking about fighting, I don't have in mind arms. In terms of arms, most of the industrialized countries have delivered the most modern arms to the Ukrainian army, which is defending from the Russian aggression. And this is okay with me. But in the Middle East, we have a completely different situation. This is the aggressor, which is heavily armed by the biggest military power in the world, the United States. So on one hand, we arm the defendants, and on the other hand, we arm the aggressor. On one hand, we sanction, and on the other hand, we say, let's mark some products before we eat them, but still let's import them, and we don't even bother to mark them. Okay, so I see room for sanctions and for real sanctions. The EU is the first commercial partner of Israel. We have the power to make Israel behave. And nobody is discussing the legality or illegality of the settlements. Everybody agrees, even the Israeli state, by its tacit compliance, because they're just quiet about it. They don't say a word about it, but they support it with infrastructure and military protection. But nobody is questioning the fact that this is criminal. So the crime should be punished. And should be punished by not buying anything by the EU countries from Israel, like we are not buying almost anything from Russia. And now you would ask how this possible miracle might happen. It might happen if we realize what I started with, that we are at war. And this is a media propaganda psychological war in which Israel is a master. And we have to catch up with them, and we have to open a debate which has slightly started at the last session of the UN, when Mr. Zelensky asked to label as criminal states which have invaded, attacked, and occupied other states. Who opposed? The US, because for decades they occupy, invade, and attack other states. Somebody proposed to define Russia as a terrorist country. The Americans said no. They don't want to introduce international law tools which might take them to the courts. So they will even support in some points the Russian aggressor not to be punished. So we may say that Europe and the European Union is a special place because this is one of the last places when a lot of people believe that there are some rules, that we are not barbarian, that we have to behave in a certain way. And this belief is the basis of any law in the world. If people don't believe in some law, it doesn't exist, it doesn't apply. Because this is a contract between us. This is le contrat social de Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Huh? We have this contract, and we say, okay, there are rules, let's apply them. But the problem is that the whole debate in Europe and the international debate is limited to this ping pong of resolutions and breaking resolutions, of legality, illegality. And we don't speak in terms of human rights, and we don't speak in terms of sanctioning and punishing perpetrators of criminal acts against the Palestinian people. And let's ask ourselves why it's so easy to kill a Palestinian child without provoking international outbursts of outrage, and why in other cases there is such a violent reaction. I think that one of the reasons is what Israel did on terms of psychological war. Israel presents itself as a victim and as a state and as a society which is in a very huge danger of being attacked and destroyed by whom? By Palestinians? Yes, yes. They say such a lie, and people seem to believe it, or to neglect it at least. And it's obvious that the balance of forces is such that there is no such a danger. That's why one of the first principles of the huge war, psychological war and campaign for Palestine should consist in an attempt to stop fighting, to stop military acts, which are completely inefficient, and we are a huge pretext for ethnic cleansing, for killings, for crimes, and for maintaining this big lie on which is the position of Israel based, that Israel is in danger. If it is very, I know that this is very difficult because Palestinians are divided in all possible ways, physical, political, and Israel, as one of the speakers told very rightly, is speaking with one voice. Even if governments change, the policy is the same. So on one hand, on one side, we have this coordinated campaign in social media, in the mainstream media, of this big lie of Israel in danger as a victim, which defends itself. And on the other way, we have these terrible attacks of Hamas, these military helpless actions, and different Palestinian factions saying different things, which is a chaos, which gives nothing. So I think that this attempt, because I'm very impressed by the high level of this debate and of this event, and I have come here mainly to learn, and I have learned a lot here, and I'm thanking for this. But I think that we can do more than that. It means we can do more than complaining, and we can start to organize this big debate and this big psychological war against Israel big lie, and with a proposal to make the European Union to force Israel to behave according to European international human rights standards. I think we can.
Thank you very much, Mr. Piotr. I'm giving the floor now for Mr. Hamdan Al-Damiri. He is the Vice President of the European Community Against Settlement and Apartheid on the subject of interaction of people, society, and Indian civil society regarding the settlement. Mr. Hamdan. Yeah.
Merci. En ce qui me concerne, je vais parler en français, donc ce n'est pas en anglais que je vais parler, parce que j'ai un problème de m'exprimer dans cette langue de Shakespeare. Voilà, donc je suis obligé de parler dans la langue que je connais. C'est le français ou l'arabe, un des deux. Vous avez le droit de choisir. OK, merci. D'abord, merci pour l'invitation. En fait, je vais parler un petit peu sur est-ce qu'il y a une possibilité ou des possibilités d'arriver à des résultats concernant une stratégie de sanctions à l'égard d'Israël ici, surtout dans les pays européens. Moi, je pense la réponse, oui, même s'il y a une différence énorme entre la partie officielle dans les pays européens, donc les ministères, les gouvernements, et la partie, je dirais, populaire ou la société civile. Oui, il y a une différence énorme. Vous savez très bien qu'en 2005, la société civile palestinienne, en 2005, a lancé un appel à ce moment-là, 171 organisations non gouvernementales palestiniennes, ils ont lancé un appel pour demander à la communauté internationale d'agir à l'égard d'Israël en imposant des boycotts, des investissements et des sanctions. On a appelé ça BDS. BDS, depuis 2005, c'est une idée palestinienne de la société civile palestinienne. Et bien ici, dans les pays européens, aux États-Unis, en Afrique du Sud et dans d'autres pays du monde, dans d'autres continents, ils ont reçu cet appel palestinien et il y a toute une démarche qui a démarré, justement, comment on va mettre en route ces sanctions à l'égard d'Israël, ce BDS à l'égard d'Israël. Et effectivement, donc, depuis 2005 jusqu'à maintenant, nous avons plus ou moins 17 ans de différence. Oui, maintenant, on peut dire que le BDS a bien fonctionné, plus ou moins, et il a des résultats. Maintenant, quelles sont les conditions, c'est pour ça que je vais parler, quelles sont les conditions pour réussir et amplifier ce mouvement, cette campagne extraordinaire de BDS à l'égard d'Israël? Moi, je pense que la première condition, c'est d'avoir les bonnes informations du côté palestinien, ce que fait l'occupation israélienne dans le territoire occupé, c'est-à-dire la colonisation, asphyxier l'économie palestinienne, la répression quotidienne, les assassinats maintenant, etc. Ce sont des informations nécessaires pour l'opinion publique internationale. Il faut que ces informations arrivent ici. C'est très, très, très important. Et nous avons des sources là-bas sur place. Côté palestinien, nous avons ce qu'on appelle le réseau national palestinien de BDS. Donc, l'idée de BDS était lancée par les Palestiniens, et puis les Palestiniens, les organisations palestiniennes, ils ont mis en place un réseau qui s'appelle le réseau national palestinien de BDS. Donc, c'est une source d'information extraordinaire, à mon avis, avec laquelle il y a moyen d'obtenir sur la politique de colonisation des informations précises qui collaborent avec la colonisation, qui collaborent avec l'économie, qui investissent dans l'économie, etc., parce que ce sont des informations qui peuvent être l'objet des campagnes de BDS ici dans les pays européens, puisque nous sommes en Europe. La deuxième condition, à mon avis, c'est d'avoir une bonne coordination entre là-bas et ici. C'est très important, c'est-à-dire d'avoir plus les sources d'informations, aussi des relations entre la partie palestinienne qui détient ces informations et les partis ou les comités européens qui ont des actions de BDS sur le territoire européen. Moi, je pense que ces ponts entre les deux parties existent déjà, mais il faut amplifier cela. Moi, je connais personnellement la coordinatrice actuelle à l'échelle européenne de BDS en Europe. Je la connais, c'est une fille belge ici. Bien sûr, elle fait un travail, à mon avis, extraordinaire. Et ce travail-là, effectivement, elle continuera tant que, bien sûr, la politique israélienne continue dans les territoires occupés. Donc, cette coordination, c'est de mettre ensemble différents comités qui travaillent dans des campagnes BDS sur le territoire européen. Ça, c'est une des conditions importantes pour mener justement ce qu'on appelle des campagnes générales, parce que le BDS, parfois, ça peut s'arrêter à l'échelle d'un seul pays parce que l'entreprise ne se trouve que dans ce pays-là. Mais quand on est devant des entreprises internationales, des multinationales, à ce moment-là, on dépasse les frontières d'un pays. C'est la raison pour laquelle on a besoin, effectivement, à mon avis, d'une vision, je dirais, générale, large, à l'échelle européenne, puisque nous sommes en Europe. Et cette coordination, cette collaboration pour mener des actions à l'échelle européenne. Et on a des exemples. Actuellement, il y a une campagne à l'égard d'un produit israélien pharmaceutique qui s'appelle Teva. Donc la marque Teva, qui est une marque de fabrication israélienne qui fabrique ce qu'on appelle les produits pharmaceutiques génériques. Donc ça se trouve dans toutes les pharmacies européennes, ce produit-là. Il y a une campagne, effectivement, qui est lancée pour dire, mais comme vous avez Teva, il y a d'autres marques ici en Europe. Donc, on peut demander aux pharmaciens de ne pas acheter Teva, on peut acheter une autre marque. Il y a une campagne qui est lancée ici à l'échelle européenne, ce n'est pas à l'échelle belge, mais à l'échelle européenne. Moi, je pense que ce genre de campagne à l'échelle générale européenne, c'est une bonne chose, mais ça nécessite effectivement une certaine coordination. Et troisième condition, à mon avis, il y a des exemples, il faut absolument avoir des contacts avec le monde arabe. Le BDS ne doit pas s'arrêter au monde occidental. Parce que dans le monde arabe, on a des comités, on ne les appelle pas là-bas BDS, on les appelle les comités contre la normalisation. C'est un autre concept. Il y a un exemple très important, je vais le donner. Le Koweït, à certains moments, il avait négocié avec une entreprise française, Alstom, justement pour signer un contrat de produits de mobilité et de communication dans l'État de Koweït. La même entreprise française, il avait signé avec Israël un contrat pour aider à la construction de ce qu'on appelle le tram de Jérusalem. Le tram de Jérusalem, certainement ceux qui suivent un petit peu la politique de colonisation, il y a un tram qui utilise une partie des territoires occupés en 67. Donc le tram de Jérusalem, il y a une entreprise française, une grande entreprise française multinationale qui s'appelle Alstom, qui est engagée dans la fabrication de ce tram de Jérusalem. Eh bien, le Koweït à ce moment-là, parce que grâce à un travail mené sur le territoire koweïtien par des militants anti-normalisation, des parlementaires koweïtiens, eh bien, finalement, le Koweït a décidé de ne pas signer le contrat avec l'entreprise française. C'est une perte pour l'entreprise française et c'est un exemple, à mon avis. C'est la raison pour laquelle moi j'appelle à ce qu'il y a des collaborations, des ponts entre le BDS ici dans les pays européens ou aux États-Unis ou ailleurs dans le monde, avec ce qui se passe dans le monde arabe contre la normalisation entre certains régimes arabes et l'État d'Israël, tant que l'État d'Israël, bien sûr, mène la politique qu'il mène quotidiennement dans les territoires palestiniens occupés. Moi, je pense le BDS, devant elle, il a des perspectives réelles. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle il faut amplifier ces perspectives d'action sur le territoire européen. Et en même temps, moi j'appelle les Palestiniens, parce que je suis palestinien, j'appelle les Palestiniens, la communauté palestinienne en Europe. Nous sommes 800 000 presque, nous les Palestiniens. Ce n'est pas un, ce n'est pas deux. La Belgique, on était 4 000 il y a 10 ans d'ici. Maintenant, on est plus que 20 000 sur le territoire belge. Donc, il y a de plus en plus de Palestiniens qui arrivent. Donc, nous avons un rôle à jouer aussi, parce que nous sommes des citoyens européens, nous aussi, les Palestiniens. Nous avons les nationalités européennes, nous votons comme tout le monde, etc. Nous avons un rôle à jouer concernant ce BDS au niveau européen. C'est la raison pour laquelle moi je pense qu'il faut créer des ponts entre les comités BDS européens et les communautés palestiniennes et les associations palestiniennes actives sur le territoire européen. Moi je pense que c'est une perspective importante de travail, de collaboration pour que les Palestiniens prennent aussi leur rôle dans le cadre de cette campagne extraordinaire qui vise à sanctionner Israël pour toute cette politique qui mène sur le terrain, dans le territoire occupé, Israël, vous le savez, je le sais, nous, tout le monde le sait, Israël ne respecte rien, ni des règles, ni des conventions, ni des droits internationaux. Et malheureusement, l'Union européenne, moi je regrette ça. Le lundi passé, quand il y avait la réunion à l'échelle des ministres des Affaires étrangères avec le Premier ministre israélien, eh bien, l'Union européenne, elle a décidé de renforcer les relations avec Israël sur différents niveaux et d'élargir même ces relations avec Israël, pas seulement commerciales, économiques, culturelles, etc. Il y a d'autres domaines dans lesquels ces relations vont être renforcées entre l'Union européenne et l'État d'Israël, alors que l'État d'Israël sur le terrain mène une politique complètement inacceptable, immorale et contraire au droit international. Voilà un petit peu mon intervention concernant ce sujet-là. Et merci.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Mr. Hamdan Damiri. I will try to brief in few words what's been said. Mr. Hamdan Damiri talked about the possibility to impose sanctions in Israel with regards to its violation in the human rights for the Palestinian. He talked about the civil society in Palestine, which organized by the PDS. He said that the PDS has well functioned and get very positive results up today. He spoke about the very important issue of coordination between the network in Palestine and the outside of Palestine as a very important source of information, giving about the settlement activities in Palestine, who collaborate with whom and who is support the settlement in order to react here in Europe. This been underlined. And Mr. Hamdan, he gave a very practical example for the PDS activity. He spoke about Teva. Teva is a brand of medicine product, and how to boycott this product. And he terminated by talked about the coordination in the Arab world. And he cites the Committee Against Naturalization in the World Arab, and how is important to collaborate with them and to gather all these activities in order to get these sanctions to Israel. This is a very short conclusion. I will give the floor. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and we will try to go fast. I will give the floor now for Mr. Ghassan Abu Samra. Then we'll give the floor to Mr. Ahmed Sakini, and we will terminate by what we are waiting for from Mr. Adnan Sabbah coming from London to conclude with the legal aspects. So, تفضل.
السيدات والسادة، من عدة سنين أقرت أكثر من دولة أوروبية مقاطعة منتجات وخدمات المستوطنات الإسرائيلية الغير شرعية، وتتفاوت هذه المقاطعة بين دولة وأخرى. وهناك أيضا مسؤولين أمميين ذهبوا إلى خطوات أبعد من ذلك، بأنهم اقترحوا فرض حظر كامل على جميع المنتجات المصنوعة في المستوطنات الإسرائيلية الغير شرعية والغير قانونية. في بداية عام 2014 قررت دول الاتحاد الأوروبي فرض مقاطعة تجارية، علمية، أكاديمية واستثمارية ضد المستوطنات الإسرائيلية على أراضي الضفة الغربية المحتلة، نتيجة لحكم المحكمة الدولية في لاهاي عام 2004 بأن المستوطنات الإسرائيلية الغير شرعية، وهي تخرق البند رقم 49 من ميثاق جنيف الذي يحظر على دولة محتلة أن توطن سكانها في المناطق التي احتلتها. وفي وقت لاحق طالب 16 وزير خارجية أوروبي بسن قانون يفرض وضع ملصقات على بضائع المستوطنات بحيث تكتب عليها عبارة تم إنتاجها في الضفة الغربية وبين قوسين مستوطنة إسرائيلية، وذلك للحد من بيعها وترويجها بالأسواق الأوروبية. في سنة 2014 تم وضع تصور اقتصادي حسابي للأثر التراكمي لمدة 10 سنوات ما بين 2014 و 2024 والذي تم تقديره بنحو 80 مليار دولار أمريكي للاقتصاد الإسرائيلي. هذه القرارات أدت إلى تراجع في معدل الأرباح لمنتجات المستوطنات الإسرائيلية بنسبة تتراوح ما بين 10 و 20%، عدا عن ارتفاع تكاليف الاستيراد. وتم تقدير حجم واردات الاتحاد الأوروبي من المستوطنات الإسرائيلية أكثر من 500 مليون يورو سنويا. السبب من ذكر هذه الحقائق ليس فقط اقتصادي ولكنه سياسي أخلاقي، لأن زيادة نشاط الحراك الدبلوماسي الأوروبي المناهض للاستيطان يعمق من عزلتها ويؤثر سلبا على شرعنتها، وفي الوقت نفسه يذكرها دائما بأنها دولة محتلة لأراضي الفلسطينيين ولا تملك الشرعية القانونية أو الأخلاقية في مواصلة انتهاكاتها. إن السماح بعرض منتجات المستوطنات يمثل رسالة موجهة تدعو الفلسطينيين إلى الرضوخ لسياسة الأمر الواقع، وتقبل هذه المستوطنات المقامة فوق أراضيهم باعتبارها جزء من إسرائيل. ولا ننسى أن شراء منتجات المستوطنات يمثل دعما لسياسة الاحتلال. وأخيرا أريد أن أنوه لنقطة مهمة يتم الحديث عنها حاليا والترويج إلها، هي وسم منتجات المستوطنات الإسرائيلية لإعادة ترويجها في دول الاتحاد الأوروبي. أريد أن أذكر شيء حدث بالتاريخ القريب في ألمانيا، والقليل أو الكثير منكم يعرف أن عبارة made in Germany تم فرضها على الألمان بعد الحرب العالمية الثانية لعدم شراء المنتجات الألمانية كعقاب لها. وماذا حصل بعد ذلك؟ في النهاية كانت هذه الجملة عبارة عن كلمة السر التي فتحت جميع الأبواب الاقتصادية في كل العالم لترويج المنتجات الألمانية. فدعونا نفكر سوية إذا كانت هذه النقطة مجدية للفلسطينيين أو غير مجدية. الاقتراح الأجدى هو منع كامل لجميع منتجات المستوطنات الإسرائيلية والغير شرعية والتعامل معها في جميع دول الاتحاد الأوروبي على أنها منتجات من بؤر استيطانية غير شرعية. وشكرا.
Thank you very much, Ghassan, in a few words as well. Ghassan, he talked about since several years a lot of country, more than one, decided to boycott the settlement product, the illegal settlement product, and stopped to collaborate with them. There is a lot of international decision makers. They went more and far than this, and they proposed to prevent and boycott all these product coming from illegal settlement. And in 2014, the European countries decided to impose a boycott, academic and scientific and commercial boycott against the Israeli settlement in the West Bank territories as a result of the IC, the International Court decision that's mentioned that the settlement in West Bank are illegal. And afterward, 16 foreign affairs ministers in Europe they asked to make a decision to put stickers and etiquette to design the product coming from settlement before they enter the Europe zone, giving by this the choice for the customers if they would like to buy this product coming from criminal activities by stolen land in West Bank. And in 2014, they conceive a project about the cumulative effect for 10 years between 2014 and 2024, and this was estimated by $80 billion as losses for the Israeli economic. All these decisions lead to a decline in the average profit for the settlement product between 10 and 20%. This without talking about the raise of the cost of the import raw material cost because of the boycott, and the import being estimated in Union Europe from the settlement to be amounted to more than 500 million euro a year. The reason behind exposing these realities, he said, was not only economic but moral and political reason, and that's mean the increase on the activities against settlement product is positive and can lead to a very positive results. He said something which is important, I think, that's permit the settlement product entering in Europe and give the possibility for the citizen to buy them. It's a very negative message for the Palestinian, and it's a support for illegal activities of settlement, as these lands are occupied by Israel and stolen by settlers. And without forgetting that buying this product, it's represent support for the occupier power. Yeah, and he compared the word of made in Germany, which lead to a code for the German product, which open a closed doors after the Second World War. Yeah, I think this is what been mentioned and said. Now we go to Mr. Ahmed Sakina and give him the floor. Ahmed Sakina is the president of the European Initiative to remove the wall and against settlement. Thank you very much.
First of all, I would like to thank EUPAC for having me in this conference. As Maciej said, my name is Ahmed Sakina and I'm the chairman of the European Initiative to remove the wall and the settlements. Our initiative is an organization which works in the European continent and rejects the apartheid wall and the settlements established by Israel in the West Bank. Our organization is based in 2010 in the Dutch city of The Hague, which hosts the seats of the international courts. Regarding to the settlements, I think it's important to discuss this issue in three dimensions: humanitarian, political, and legal. as limiting one of them make the discussion incomplete and insufficient. From a political point of view, I think it's well known that the borders and the settlements are among the issues of the final solution. This means that no changes should be made without the approval of both the Palestinians and Israeli parties. Actually, what we say until now, that Israel is doing the best to stop all this agreements and try also to go ahead with continuing building the settlements and also continuing building the settlements and also bypassing all of that through the first of bypassing all through the first of the differentiating between the existence of the legitimate and illegal settlements. I think it's enough to say that now, after 30 years of Oslo Accords, the number of settlers in the West Bank has reached nearly 1 million. And it's enough also to say that the area of confiscated lands has increased from 16,000 in 2020 up to 63,000 in 2021. I think all of that is more than enough to say that the current position of the EU, which believes and supports and works with the two-state solution, is no longer acceptable. Actually, every time we communicated with the European decision makers, they accord by their answers that they interest in the conflict in the two-state in the Middle East, and that their position didn't change by supporting the and adhering to the two-state solution. I think continuing hearing this kind of position without is no longer acceptable if it's not accompanied with putting a pressure on Israel. Next, please. Yes. Next. Before that. Yes. As I told you, continuing hearing this kind of position is no longer acceptable if it's not accompanied with putting pressure on Israel, because actually continuing the settlements kills any possibility of the two-state solution and kills also any possibility of the Palestinian state. And we saw that clearly actually in the map which was presented and suggested by the Censure Plan. It's worth than that. It's not only the EU don't put any pressure on the Israel, but also actually there is a kind of strengthening of relations between the EU and the Israel, and we saw that clearly a few days ago when the Association Council was restored and took place again in Brussels, but after stopping for about 10 years. I think this kind of contradiction between the European political discourse and its actions is due to many reasons. Number one, the historical relations between EU, European countries, and Israel, as the Europe contributed to the establishment of Israel, especially UK. Number two, actually the complex relations between the EU and Israel. We are not talking here about just political relations, but also there is a security, there is an economic, there is also a scientific, there is a military relations as well. Number three, I think also one more reason is the complex mechanism of the political decision making within the EU. Number 4, also, I think one more reason is the great influence of Israeli lobby on the AU and the political decision making within it. Number 5, actually, I think also there is a kind of the lack of independence of the European political decision and its dependency on the USA, which totally and fully and unlimitedly supporting Israel. I think all of that, all of these reasons, let us ask a very important question. Is the AU is really true to the values and principles which it believes in and the international law protects it, or the AU put all of that aside when it comes to its political interests? I think it's a big question we have to ask about that, especially nowadays when we saw what happened and the fully supporting of the AU for Ukraine against Russia, and talking about a kind of occupation, and we say we see the same situation there in our land in Palestine. From a humanitarian point of view, next please. From a humanitarian point of view, I think that the settlements violated all the civil, political, economic, social, cultural rights of the Palestinian people. For example, the apartheid wall separated the families and prevented the access of the medical and educational services to many areas. We all know about the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice, which considered the apartheid wall illegal and demanded Israel to stop the construction of it and tear it down. Actually, and also demand Israel to compensate the Palestinians for the damage caused by the construction of this wall. But none of that has happened. I think there are a lot of examples like that, which in it, Israel violated the Palestinian rights, and in the same time, we always hear from the European parliamentarians a very insufficient and weak position. Yes, next. From a legal point of view, and I think this side of this issue is very important, because always we talk about this side of the issue without getting any practical, serious steps. I will not talk a lot about it, but let me remember all of us that Israel violated a lot of conventions and resolutions, starting with the 4th Geneva Convention and also the Hague Convention, and also a lot of resolution of the UN General Assembly and Security Council, and all of that. Every time we mention to these resolutions and conventions, after that the issue is turned into political issue without getting or making or taking any legal proceedings. I will not talk about a lot about that, because I know that Adnan Sabah will talk more. He is expert as a lawyer. But I will end my speech by saying I hope that we today, as organizations and as activists, Palestinian activists, supporters from Europe continent, I hope that we can find a ways by it. We can stop this continuously crime of the settlements, of the Israeli settlements in the Jerusalem and West Bank. And finally, I will be so happy to invite you to visit our website and our social media pages for more information about our initiative. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for your intervention and this overview. Now we are giving the floor to Mr. Adnan Sabah. He is a British lawyer coming from London, and he will concentrate in some points, legal points, that has not been addressed yet. Dr. Akshi?
A small note that we should normally have with us today Mr. Gilles Debert, the expert of the international law from Paris. We was surprised, or we had the news of the last minute, and so that also we surprised with us Mr. Adnan, which he wasn't prepared for this presentation, but we trust him. So please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I know that it's the end of the day and everybody is tired, so I'm not going to take much of your time, and I'm going to try my skill to make it entertaining. So I broke my presentation into 3 parts. One is a joke, the second is a hypnosis trip, and the third is a wake-up call. So bear with me. Actually, I'm very grateful for our eminent Professor Eric David. He covered most of the material that I wanted to mention and include it, and I was laboring on it until late last night to organize a good, coherent presentation for you. But I don't want to bore you with, statutory materials, etc. Except I have one document that I need to present to you, which is not a surprise. I hope it's not a surprise to many of you if you've seen it. But it's very, very critical, very important, because this will take me to the second part of my, so that's in Hebrew, sorry, just a few minutes, just focus on this. If you enlarge it a little bit, that's the origin of the document. Now you can flip to the English one. I don't know how many of you can read Hebrew, but that's the full document. Right, that's the English one. If you enlarge it, please. Okay, top secret. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 18th of September 1967. From Khalil. Where is Khalil in Poland?
In the West.
Theodore Miron was born in Khalil, and he became the legal advisor to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel. He was acting on the instructions of the Foreign Minister of Israel during the 67 war, and he was asked by the Prime Minister at the time, Levi Eshkol, to give an opinion on, guess what, settlements. 1967, they were already planning. My conclusion, second line, third line, my conclusion is that civilian settlement in the administered territories contravene explicit provisions of the Fourth Geneva Convention. Fourth Geneva Convention. It reads, Article 1, down please. Mr. David mentioned it. I don't want to bother you with it, but it's in there somewhere, highlighted. A little bit down, please. Yeah, the occupying power shall not. No, that's the 49 article. Okay, I'll read it for you. Article 1 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, I repeat again, I'm sorry to bother you with repeating it. The high contracting parties undertake to respect and to ensure respect for the present convention in all circumstances. That is it. So the rest of the story, we've heard it from all the speakers today. The settlements, how much, how, where, how they're designed, the program of it. But this is the genesis of it. It was already planned before 67 war. There was an opinion of it. The Article 49 that says the occupying power shall not deport or transfer parts of its own civilian population into the territory of it occupies. So Israel is not allowed to transfer Israeli citizens into the West Bank. That's the crime. The rest of it is below, is very interesting to read. I'm happy to share it with everybody because that's what it is. That's what I'm coming next. So this is the crime. And this is the opinion of the person who is planning to do the crime, preparing for it. They prepared for it. And this is their opinion. After that, Theodore Meron was sacked. He left office, and now he was, until recently, he was international lawyer for the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia and Rwanda, and now is a professor Emeritus in New York, some university, I can't remember the name of it. But I found his, you can find his bio online. And he wrote, to be honest, to be fair to him, he wrote many articles, and he repeated in 2017, he repeated his opinion publicly. By the way, this document didn't come to the public until 2015. It was top secret. It was hidden somewhere and nobody knows about it. It was revealed by an Israeli researcher who was opposing to the, settlement and the occupation. So that is the crime. That is the opinion of the crime. We know the crime happened. Now we know the crime happened, and it's still happening. What's going on? So there's a crime. We know. We don't need to talk about tagging the wines and the products and anything of the consequences. We know the crime happened. We know the consequences. What are we going to do about it? The joke is, yesterday, I heard it from somebody. I speak with him for the first time, but he mentioned to me that a European prince went to visit an Arab country, and they know that he chairs charity in his country. So they handed him a bag with a $1 million. And that's true. It's not, he tells me it's true. So he took a $1 million bag. He was embarrassed to reject it. You know, to the Arab, you offend them if you reject their gifts. So he took it back with him, put it aside, sealed and safe, took it back home, and he sent it to his charity to check it and subject it to money laundering checks. The origin of the money. Money laundering. That's what it is. It's money laundering. Crime. But it doesn't matter. We'll find a solution for it. Tag the products from the settlements. We know the settlements is a crime. The project itself is a crime. We know the products of the crime is a crime. But you know what? Tag it. Say it is a product. This product is made in the settlement. So it's okay, it's kosher. We buy it and enjoy it and pay the money. And you know what? We can do without 10-20% profit of the profits. It's a crime. It's money laundering. What we are concentrating on is who is doing it. But it's not Israel. It's not Israel the criminal. Israel is not the criminal. The settlers are not the criminals. Europe is the criminal. Because any lawyer would know proceeds of crime and money laundering punish every single actor in the process. It's not the crime itself. It's not the thief who stole the money. It's the person who laundered the money and the person who provided him with the logistics for the crime and the person who made him profit from the crime. Europe is making Israel look legitimate. If you tag the wine, the bottle of wine or the products, it's legitimate to come into European markets, benefit from tax breaks, customs treaties, etc. So it's legitimate. It's not legitimate. It is still a crime. And this is a proceed of a crime, a product of a crime. Europe is the real criminal because you are part of the crime process. You should be punished, not Israel. You cannot punish Israel because, oh, they will call you anti-Semite. They will blackmail you. Immediately, they will black you and tag you. Anti-Semite. Even if you were a Jew, they will stamp you with a stamp. Anti-Semite. They did it to Noam Chomsky. They did it to Norman Finkelstein. And they are Jews. And many others. Gerald Kaufman. Many others. They call them Jew haters because they are Jews. So they found that, they coined another name for them to tag them with. They cannot call them anti-Semites because they are Jews, so they call them Jew haters or self-haters. Now, what can we do? What Europe is supposed to be doing? If you want, I prepared some list of the crimes that are associated with the crime of settlement. I think Ahmed, mentioned some of them, so I don't want to repeat them. But I give you my personal example. My house is half kilometers east of the, about 2 kilometers east of the armistice line 1949. They built the wall inside the West Bank. So it took back behind it 2 pieces of land for me, 3 pieces of land. I cannot reach personally. Last month, I was there in June. I applied for a permit to enter the no man's land between the wall and between the border. Still refused. So this is a crime against me. I cannot reach my land. Private property, there's in the opinion somewhere, private property should be protected. And the occupier should not be. Private property must be respected. Private property cannot be confiscated. This is what Article 46 of the Hague Regulations concerning the law of wars and customs of war on land, 1907. This is since 1907. Enshrined, and this principle became what we call in law customary international law. It's binding on everyone. You don't discuss it. You don't say I'm not a state party. It's binding on you. That's it. My private property, I am deprived of it. It's a criminal. It's a crime. Children, you've seen many instances. The wall is built between the school and the village. Children cannot go to school. They're denied education. Under European law, if I don't send my child to school, they take me to court. I committed a crime. We cannot go to hospital. You've read, I don't want to bore you with incidences, just a quick scan, how many people died in ambulances on military checkpoints on their way to hospital. Women gave birth in ambulances on checkpoints. This is denying access to health. This is a crime. If I don't take my wife to give birth in hospital, they will send the ambulance to me, and they will send the police, and they will send the social services, and they will charge me with a crime, torturing my wife, unless I could have arranged with them that my wife is going to deliver at home and they will have to provide her with all the facilities, etc. That's a crime. How many crimes you want to mention that are, do you want me to mention that are ancillary to the crime of settlement? Today, I had a message from inside the West Bank, a list of the roads that are closed between the Palestinian villages and the Israeli settlement of Yetzhar. This is the worst settlement and settlers in the West Bank. And I've seen it myself. I drove through Hawara to Nablus. Hawara Road to Ramallah is closed. No Palestinian can move on it. So you can imagine the consequences. Now, what are we going to do? We have a crime. We have actors in the crime, not only Israel. We cannot prosecute Israel because we are going to be accused of anti-Semites or neo-Nazis. You, us, the Europeans. So we'll think what we can do. Europe has obligations. I looked at the article, at the 2000 trade agreement with Israel, 21st of June 2000. There is no mention at all, anywhere, of anything that Israel is doing inside the occupied territory. There is no bar, no mention, no block, nothing. Normal between a sovereign state and a sovereign bloc, which is 27 countries. They don't say anything. And then they come and say, my friend mentioned who spoke about the treaties and the articles that European laws, they are numerous. I think the solution lies here in Europe. And the way around the problem is in Europe. Every single European citizen can sue his country and take his government to court for them breaching and legitimizing the settlement project. And this is not what I say. You know who says that? 500 eminent European academics who say the same thing. They say the EU is legitimizing Israel's illegal settlement. This was published, open letter, in March 2001. The EU is legitimizing the settlement project. So we've always been looking at the wrong place. Let's look here. One very shocking thing that I want to end with. We know that many of the Israeli settlers living inside Israeli settlements, Jewish settlements, inside the West Bank, carry arms, fight Palestinians, fight in the Israeli army inside the occupied territories. So they are participating in occupation. It's an international crime. And they are participating in organizations that orchestrate, plan, and execute assaults against the occupied people. Many of those are European citizens. They leave Brussels, Madrid, Paris, very clean, very easily, and they go and land in Tel Aviv airport. They go home and wear the uniform, and they go to the Israeli army, and they go to the Israeli base inside a Jewish settlement in the West Bank. They are participating in a crime. They are committing, literally, they are committing war crimes. And then they finish their tour, they go home, change, come back to the airport, and come back to Brussels. Does anybody ask them a question? Where did you go? What did you do? Nobody. Does the foreign minister know how many of his citizens are serving in the Israeli army? Of any country, any European country? No. Do they do any action? Do they take any action against them? No. But if a Syrian citizen who left his mother and father in Syria goes to help a medical organization distribute medical goods to the refugees in Syria or Turkey, he comes home, he is arrested with crimes of terrorism under terrorism laws. or anti-terrorism laws. This is a European citizen who goes somewhere and he does what he does, and this is another European citizen who goes there, we know where, and he does what he does, and we know what, because they post it and they share it with social media. This is arrested, and that is not. This is in Europe. This is the legal system of Europe. This is the practice of the European government. Europe is the criminal, not Israel.
Also,
Israel is a perpetrator. Europe is providing the legal and legitimate cover for the Israeli crime. They are participating in the crime. They are benefiting from the crimes. And they should be punished. We all know who is trading with products made in the settlement. I know they're tagged. Okay, well, no, that's it. That's the law. Now they're kosher. They're legitimate. No, it's not. They're not legitimate. He is still profiting from a crime committed somewhere else. Most of European laws countries have universal jurisdiction. They can prosecute any European person, natural or legal, for crimes committed anywhere. Now think about it and think what we can do as Europeans in Europe against European government. Stop talking about Israel. Stop talking about what is happening there. We are concerned and we need to focus on what is happening now in Europe and what we Europeans can do in Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adnan Sabbah. Now time coming to the closing remark. We will try to resume what been said today. Let me read the release. The European Palestinian Council for Political Relations, EUPAC members, staff, advisors, thanks all the attendees today who attended to our event, and also those parliamentarians who we've been in contact with them and couldn't make it. Illegal settlement is the basis of the Israeli occupation in Palestine. It's based on the idea of deporting Palestinians and confiscating their private, historical, and religious property. These settlements were built to replace the original inhabitant and prevent them from cultivating their land or benefiting from their natural resources. Lawmakers and politicians from across the political spectrum reject the settlement activity and the associated crime of siege, imprisonment, and killing that come with it. Many European parliamentarians have noted the Israeli settlement are fundamental obstacle to reaching any political solution in Palestine. As explained by Dr. Khalil Tafakji, the reality of settlement policy, which is getting more and more dangerous every day, proves that the political rejection of settlement has not led to any results yet, with the occupying power economically, politically, and in security terms. The settlement violates the agreement signed between Europe and Israel and go against the ideal and laws of the Europe Union. As Professor Eric David has noted this morning, announcing the settlement while going business with them mean there is a significant gap between the political discourse and the reality. The discrepancy prompts us in EUPAC to pay attention to the settlement issue at the European level and to hear that opinion of politicians and international law scholar on the matter. We aim to review all the possible European tools that can be used to challenge the settlement machine and disrupt for the sake of justice, peace, and security for Palestinians. Mr. Konieczny mentioned we aim to review these tools at the member state national parliament level and according to the available legal instrument. We will send a report with recommendation based on what was presented to you today by the speakers on the 12th of October in our symposium organized by EUPAC, Israel Settlement in Palestine and Europe, Facts and Perspectives, to European decision makers in the European Ministers, Foreign Affairs, the Commission and the European Parliament. We hope that the concerned politician, decision maker, European organization specialized in the matter, and those that have taken the initiative to write reports and take some steps against settlement and boycott them to complete the steps needed to that Palestinian whose land have been confiscated, whose home have been demolished, we have been expelled. We can feel that the result of those efforts in real terms. EUPAC will remain in constant contact with these parties to preserve the Palestinian cause and its fundamentals. We hope that we hope that this European-Palestinian relation will accelerate the realization of the rights of the Palestinian people. That was the end. I think there is a French version, Arabic. Okay, Omar Faris, our colleague from EUPAC, will read that in Arabic, and after that in French by Ahmed Kanan.
السلام عليكم. يشكر المجلس الأوروبي الفلسطيني العلاقات السياسية بأعضائه وطاقمه ومستشاره كل من حضر وكل من ود الحضور ومنعته أجندته من مشاركتنا في فعاليتنا الأولى والتي تشكل انطلاقة لعمل المجلس لتحقيق أهدافه. يعتبر الاستيطان أساسا للاحتلال الإسرائيلي في فلسطين، فهو المبني على فكرة ترحيل الفلسطينيين ومصادرة ممتلكاتهم الخاصة والتاريخية والدينية والبناء على أثارها كيانا إحلاليا وإسكان المهاجرين من اليهود إلى فلسطين ليحلوا محل السكان الأصليين ومنعهم من الاقتراب من أراضيهم ليزرعوها أو يستفيدوا من مصادرهم الطبيعية. ولذلك فإن القبول بالاستيطان ونتائجه على الأرض مع كل تبعاته من قتل وحصار واعتقال صعب جدا لسياسي العالم أجمع، ومنهم الأوروبيون وأعضاء البرلمان الأوروبي خاصة الرافضون للاستيطان والذين يرونه عقبة حقيقية في وجه تحقيق أي حل للصراع في فلسطين. إن واقع الاستيطان كما بينه الدكتور خليل تفكجي والذي يزداد خطورة كل يوم يثبت أن الرفض السياسي للاستيطان لم يثمر شيئا بالنسبة للفلسطينيين، وبالذات في حال تطوير العلاقات الاقتصادية والسياسية والأمنية مع دولة الاحتلال، والذي يعد تجاوزا للاتفاقات الموقعة بين الطرفين ولمثل وقوانين الاتحاد الأوروبي. كما تناول البروفيسور إريك دافيد هذه الجزئية، والذي تحدث عن التماهي مع آثار الاستيطان وعدم إغلاق باب الاستثمار فيه يترك ثغرة بين الخطاب السياسي والواقع. هذا دفعنا في المجلس الأوروبي الفلسطيني للعلاقات السياسية إلى الاهتمام بقضية الاستيطان على الصعيد الأوروبي سياسيا وقانونيا، وأن نسمع آراء السياسيين والمختصين في العلاقات الدولية والقانونية من أجل استعراض كل الأدوات الممكنة أوروبيا واستخدامها من أجل الوقوف في وجه ماكينة الاستيطان وتعطيلها من أجل العدالة والسلم والأمن الأهليين للفلسطينيين، كما أورد السيد ماتشي كونيeczny على صعيد البرلمانات الوطنية الأوروبية أو على صعيد الإجراءات القانونية التي يمكن اتباعها. سنقوم بإرسال ورقة معلوماتية وتوصيات، وذلك بناء على ما تقدم به المتحدثون في ندوة الاستيطان الإسرائيلي في فلسطين وقائع وآفاق بتاريخ 12 أكتوبر، والتي نظمها المجلس حول الموضوع إلى أصحاب القرار الأوروبيين في وزارات الخارجية الأوروبية والمفوضية والبرلمان الأوروبي. نأمل من المعنيين بالأمر من السياسيين وأصحاب القرار والمنظمات الأوروبية المختصة في الموضوع وتلك التي بادرت إلى كتابة التقارير والاتخاذ بعض الخطوات ضد الاستيطان ولمقاطعته أن تتكامل خطواتها من أجل أن يشعر الفلسطيني الذي صدرت أرضه وهدم بيته وهجر منها بنتيجة تلك الجهود على الأرض. سيظل المجلس الأوروبي الفلسطيني على تواصل دائم مع هذه الجهات من أجل الحفاظ على السردية والهوية الفلسطينية والعلاقة الأوروبية الفلسطينية التي من شأنها أن تسرع في إحقاق حقوق الشعب الفلسطيني والعدالة له. وشكرا.
Thank you very much, Omar Faris. Now we will end with the French version for the closing remark with our colleague Ahmed Kanaan.
Le Conseil européen palestinien pour les relations politiques et EUPAC remercie tous ceux qui ont assisté aujourd'hui, ainsi que les parlementaires qui ont voulu être ici mais n'ont pas pu être présents malheureusement. En tant que premier événement, cette conférence marque le début du travail de l'EUPAC vers ses objectifs. La colonisation illégale est la base de l'occupation israélienne en Palestine. Elle est basée sur l'idée de déporter les Palestiniens et de confisquer leurs biens privés, historiques et religieux. Ces colonies ont été construites pour remplacer les habitants d'origine et les empêcher de cultiver leurs terres et de profiter de leurs ressources naturelles. Les légalisateurs et les politiciens de diverses branches politiques rejettent cette activité de colonisation et les crimes associés de siège et d'emprisonnement et de meurtre que l'accompagnent. De nombreux parlementaires européens ont noté que les colonies israéliennes sont un obstacle fondamental à toute solution politique en Palestine. Comme l'explique M. Khalil Tafakji, la réalité de la politique de colonisation qui devient chaque jour plus dangereuse prouve que le rejet politique des colonies n'a donné aucun résultat auprès de la puissance occupante sur le plan économique, politique ou sécuritaire. Les colonies violent les accords signés entre l'Europe et Israël et vont à l'encontre des idées et des lois de l'Union européenne, comme l'a noté le professeur Eric David. Dénoncer les colonies tout en faisant des affaires avec elles signifie qu'il existe un écart important entre les discours politiques et la réalité. Cette divergence nous a incité, au sein de l'EUPAC, à prêter attention à la question des implantations au niveau européen et à entendre les opinions des politiciens et des spécialistes du droit international sur la question. Notre objectif est de passer en revue tous les outils européens possibles qui peuvent être utilisés pour défier la machine coloniale et la perturber au nom de la justice, de la paix et de la sécurité pour les Palestiniens. Comme l'a mentionné M. Konieczny, nous visions à revoir cet outil avec les membres des parlements nationaux européens au niveau et en fonction des instruments juridiques disponibles actuellement, comme l'a expliqué le Dr Adnan Sabbah. Nous enverrons un rapport avec les recommandations basées sur ce qui a été présenté par les intervenants lors de symposium d'aujourd'hui, organisé par la EUPAC, aux décideurs européens, des ministres européens, des ministres des Affaires étrangères, de la Commission et le Parlement européen. Nous espérons que les politiciens concernés, les décideurs et les organisations européennes spécialistes en la matière et ceux qui ont pris l'initiative d'écrire des rapports et de prendre des mesures contre les colonies et de les boycotter, achèveront les démarches nécessaires pour que les Palestiniens dont les terres ont été confisquées, dont les maisons ont été démolies et qui ont été expulsés peuvent ressentir concrètement les résultats de cet effort. L'EUPAC restera en contact permanent avec ces partis pour préserver la cause palestinienne et ses droits fondamentaux. Nous espérons que cette relation euro-palestinienne accélérera la résiliation des droits du peuple palestinien.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. On a terminé. Ok, on a une question. On va terminer. On a, we have. We will take the question and then you and try to close because we are out of time. Go ahead.
I missed some of your lecture, but I was at the beginning and listened to some of the presentations, and I think it's a very good initiative by EUPAC because it's important to raise awareness about the Palestinian problem and to reach a fair solution. It's not easy because we all know that the conflict is very complex and there are two sides and two perhaps narratives. But I would like one question. I don't know if Mr. Khalil Tafakji is still here because he presented very interesting maps about.
He is here.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to ask a very brief question to you because there were two maps which you didn't show, and those were the maps which were discussed, I think, in Camp David back in 2000 and perhaps also later on by the Israeli government and the Palestinian Authority about the future solution and as a basis for the two-state solution. And I would like to ask you, Mr. Tafakji, now it's very easy to say that the situation has gone too far and the occupation has become permanent. But it is still relevant, let's say, to go back to those maps, to those solutions. Can it still form a basis, or is it too late? And if that is too late, what is the alternative solution? Would that be a one-state solution, one state for both peoples? Is that more realistic now, do you think?
Before Dr. Tafakji answer the question, we will take the remark.
Okay, now we have, as I told.
Doctor, بس نعرف the remark. تعال دكتور.
أنا ملاحظة بسيطة فقط.
خليه بس
A short remark. We are speaking about boycott of products, Israeli products from colonies because it's illegal. But the occupation of all Arab territories is also illegal. I remember 40 years ago, Arab countries used to boycott all Israeli products, used to boycott all companies who were treating with Israel. I think we are far away from 40 years ago now. We are asking a small thing, and it seems to us as irrealizable. Hamdan spoke about Arab countries and we have to work with Arab countries so as to boycott also. But if you go to Jordan, to any other Arab country, you can find products in the markets on which it's written product of Israel, made in Israel. That's my remark.
Okay. About settlement and about two state and one state. Now we have no chance for two state. No chance. Believe me that if you want to go, if you have a time to go to the West Bank, you don't see any chance to build a Palestinian state without destroyed or demolish the settlement. It looks like what's happened in Gaza. In Gaza now we have really, we don't speak about the state, really a clean area without settlement. In my opinion, I think that today or tomorrow, and this is the last chance for Israel. This is the last chance. And I told the Israel, because I am part of the Palestinian negotiation for foreign status for Jerusalem, borders, and settlements. I told them, today I spoke to you, but the second generation, nobody can speak to you. So we return back to more violence, more killing from the two sides. If you're looking for this map, as a journalist, look to this map. Do you think that we have a geographic continuity? There is no geographic continuity because the Israel policy since 1967, when they started to build settlement around Jerusalem and metropolitan Jerusalem include the Jordan Valley. This is what we call it a lone plan. This is liberal party, liberal party, Me'arach. But when the Likud coming, in that time, Menachem began, 1997, he changed the names. There is no West Bank, they call it Judea and Samaria. Changed the name. In the same time, they started to build on the Green Line. It means the borders. I mean the Green Line, and surrounded and built on around the Palestinian city. So there is no chance to build a Palestinian. After this issue, look for Mr. Sharon Plan. This one. This is Sharon Plan. Where is our Palestinian? If I want to come to go from place to place, I need permit. Now, when I am coming here, I need permit from Israel to come here. If anybody want to go from place to place and there is something, they check there is a checkpoint, so nobody can go from place to place. If I want to build a house, I need permit from civil administration. A house. In Jerusalem, it's more complicated. We don't speak about Jerusalem because Jerusalem is a unique case. Jerusalem. But do you think, as a journalist, when we went to the Oslo Agreement and we signed that we want to build a Palestinian state, and we can, in that time, we say that in the historical Palestine, Israel state close to Palestinian state. The Israel, they have no mind, they have no answer about this question. They say it's open. But in the same time, they built more settlement, expansion of settlement, settlers. In the beginning, I speak about 1979. 79, when Metityahu Drobles, the chairman of Zionist agency, he speak about 1 million settler will be. Daily, more facts, more reality. So we jump to the next scenario. The next scenario is one state. Okay. Between the sea and the river today, 50% Palestinian, 50% Israel. According to the Israel statistic, in 2050, the Palestinian will be in the majority. Where is the Israel state? Will be in that time. So now the Israel say that we are make ethnic cleansing. We can transfer the people who has Israel passport, or this is the Palestinian who is living inside Israel, to the West Bank. And yesterday they put this scenario: if something happened, a war or something, that we can build a new camp in inside the West Bank, and we transfer all these people. So this is the aim. Now, in my opinion, I think that today we have a good chance to build a peace between the two people, because the future, I don't know what is, but I know I am not a perfect, but I spoke the future that tomorrow we have more massacres, more violence, if there is no people from the Israel side need peace, because most of them, they don't need peace. They don't all the time. They need war. They need massacre. They need Delhi. They killed many people, Palestinian people. In the end, I hope our future today, we have a good example that we have a peace process, but the peace process now is died because the right, they don't need any peace. And you can look about Labid, and looking about, you speak about Yitzhar. Yitzhar is ideology people, settler ideology people. They don't say that if these people go to Amman or alternative country, Amman or Jordan will be alternative country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalil Tafakji. We will give 2 minutes, only 2 minutes to answer the remark. You would answer the remark?
Just add 2 sentences to the reply by Mr. Khalil. If you look at the plans, you can see the design, the master plan, the idea behind it. It's not the facts on the ground. Of course, it is represented by facts on the ground. But you can see that on the ground, it is designed to prohibit the possibility of two-state solution, because it breaks the contiguity and the territorial integrity of a future Palestinian state. We cannot, it doesn't exist, because it doesn't exist in the Israeli political agenda. It's never been. It has never been there. If you remember, if you recall the negotiations between Begin and Sadat, always Israel insisted on limited autonomy. Limited autonomy. This is exactly what is called, what Oslo is called. Autonomous region, limited autonomous authority, limited authority, interim agreement, whatever you want to call it, but they never speak of a state. So the settlements in that regard, then from the point of view of the international law, they are used as a tool of aggression against the possibility of creating a Palestinian state with the UN, which the UN against the UN Charter.
Thank you very much, Maitre, for that. Any 2 minutes words to the remark of Mr. Barakat? Any volunteer? Adnan?
Oui, je ne sais pas si tout le monde...
Ça fonctionne.
Ok. En tout cas, voilà. Je ne sais pas si tout le monde a compris les remarques qui ont été faites par notre ami Rajaï. En fait, concernant donc moi j'ai demandé, j'ai appelé effectivement qu'il y a des ponts entre les comités dans le monde arabe contre la normalisation et le BDS, surtout en Europe, parce que je trouve qu'il y a des informations intéressant à passer entre les deux parties. Et j'ai donné l'exemple de Koweït, c'est un exemple, mais cet exemple-là peut être multiplié dans d'autres pays. Je sais très bien que dans certains pays arabes, il y a des comités contre la normalisation. C'est le cas de Koweït, c'est le cas au Liban, en Tunisie, au Maroc, quoi encore. Donc il y a la Jordanie, l'Égypte, etc., le Bahreïn. Donc il y a des comités contre la normalisation. Donc il y a une partie de la population qui s'exprime contre la normalisation. C'est la raison pour laquelle moi je trouve qu'il y a un terrain entre les deux parties. La partie, je dirais, BDS ici en Europe, en Amérique et dans le monde arabe, justement pour échanger les informations et travailler sur peut-être comment dirais-je, des projets communs à un moment ou à un autre. Voilà, c'était ça mon appel.
I would like only to add that I have spotted on the wall in a very poor region of Poland a slogan painted on the wall: "We demand anything," and I think it's what you meant. It's nothing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Piotr. Like this, our event take end. Thank you very much for your presence. You made this